Welcome everybody to the weekly WP Roundup with BJ Keeton. That's me, and it's Friday. Every Friday afternoon we get together and we talk about the best WordPress news, the best tutorials, the best resources that we were able to find this week. So make sure that you throw some comments in so that we can know who you are, where you're from, and if you have any questions about the content or about anything else, we'll do our very best to answer you. And we try to make this a very, very interactive show, so really feel free to throw anything you have to say in there. We want to get to know you. I'll probably get distracted by the comments at some point, so bear with me as we try to make it as real time as possible. So the way that this works, if you're new to everything here, is that the description of this video has links to all sorts of different content that we were able to find this week, and make sure that you expand that and click through. You can follow along or open up as many tabs as you want in your browser and give those content creators some love, because without them, we couldn't be doing this. So let's dig into the news. I want to let you guys know that the news this week, I'm going to toot our horn for a while, the Elegant Themes horn, because this is a relatively slow news week. We've got WordPress 5.1. All of that stuff is low key right now, but right now we're 11 years old. Elegant Themes has reached its 11-year anniversary, and we're having a sale, and I wanted to make sure that you guys knew about that we're having a 20% off sale right now. You'll probably want to check that out. It is the first link in the description, and I didn't want anyone to miss out on that. If you've been waiting to be able to re-up your subscription or become a member in the first place, check the first link, and you'll get 20% off either upgrades, an annual membership, or a lifetime membership, which is by far the best deal. So think about that one. Excuse me. See, Brian says, happy birthday. Appreciate that. Can't say I was here for anything but the last year and a half of it, but it's been fantastic. What I have been. I see Tobias and Jazzy Bear are in on YouTube. Hello, everybody. Thank y'all for coming in. So like I said, the 20% off discount, it is limited. It's here for about 2 weeks. So make sure that if you have to work things out, get your budget together, get something approved by a higher up, anything like that, you do have time for that. It's not going to run out tonight at midnight, but you have 12 days for that. And so I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that, because it's easy to miss one of these sales, and they're honestly too good to miss out on. So check those out. The second thing that I wanted to show you guys is that we had a Divi update this week on the transformation controls. And I don't know if you guys saw this one and have been able to play with it yet, but this is awesome. It's where you're able to really take the design tab and really transform anything that you want. It's almost like the free transform in Photoshop, where you can just move it around and do what you want to with it. I love this thing. So I've been looking forward to this one coming out for a while, and now that it's here, I really think a lot of people are going to get some use out of it. It's just so good. Looking at the blog, the stuff that they're showing off as a demo here, I can't even imagine what you guys are going to be able to come up with. So I know we have some tutorials and use cases coming down the line for the transformation controls here, so keep an eye out for those. And this stuff is great. We're wanting to get a lot more updates out, especially like we said, now that we've pushed out the support center and we can really start getting back into feature and major updates like that. So we want to really let you know that it's something we're working on very hard. And like I said, I love this one. I don't even know what to say other than I love this one, and that I wanted to make sure that you guys update your Divi and Extra so that you get this. Also, there was a patch earlier this week for a security issue, so make sure that whether you're a member or not, if your subscription has expired, you should be able to update to get the security patch. So that was sent out. I want you guys to always be safe. But remember, transform controls, it's like the free transform in Photoshop, and it makes everything on your web page do that in real time. And I I just love it. So yay, it's awesome. So I'm going to look at the comments. I see some stuff are coming in. Some stuff are coming in. Some stuff is coming in. I see Brian, excuse me. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I didn't even realize today was St. Patrick's Day, and I don't have green on. I've got a LaCroix can next to me I can wear on my head. That kind of thing. No, that's awesome. I really didn't even realize it was St. Patrick's Day. I see, from Senegal and all sorts of places. Muhammad from Cairo. Cool. And yes, this week I see everyone's talking about the time. Daylight savings time happened here in the U.S. We got hit by moving an hour forward last Saturday night, early Sunday morning. And so it's thrown off everybody's week. I think it's really kind of crazy. I don't know what parts of the world actually observe daylight savings time, what countries do. So if you do or don't, let me know. I'm really honestly curious about this because my wife and I were having a conversation because the time change has made just the meetings kind of wonky this week because we had at our content team meeting, we have Mac in England, we had Donyeta in Kosovo, we had me in Alabama, and Jason is in Texas with the same time zone. Nathan's an hour ahead of us, and then our new hire, who I'm going to talk about in just a second, Raquel, is in Arizona, which would be a couple of hours behind anyway, an hour behind, but they're in Arizona, so they don't observe daylight savings time, so it just went crazy all over, and I think Matt is in Central, if I remember right. I'm probably going to get that wrong. Sorry, Matt. But everything was just crazy about times, and now I see this here where it's just crazy how that happens. And if we're gonna do it, it's one of those things I wish that everyone would do it all at once, because I know when the time went back in the fall that a lot of I know England didn't do it the same week as we did. I know Max said that they didn't, so I'm not sure about the rest. And I see Brian says that it goes back this weekend on Facebook. And Madalena on YouTube says that they found out, she works on Eastern Standard Time, found out that they changed time in our weekly meeting. That's how I figured out it's going to be to change in 2 weeks here too. That's just crazy. Like, it's just such a cluster. It just, everything is nuts. And so it's just something. So yeah, that's why we're at the time right now. It is, we're now at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So mark your calendars, hit the notification bell, tell Facebook all of that so you'll see it. And I apologize for any kind of rush or confusion about that, because on Monday we also have another live stream at 6 a.m. Eastern, which is going to be a little bit different for you guys, but it's Mac's stream on the transformation controls, and I know a lot of you guys are going to want to make that. So make sure that you learned from me that the time is all messed up right now, and so you don't miss Max whenever he's going through the cool new feature that we have. I see Norway, Ryland says in Norway that they go to summertime in 14 days. That's honestly, I would like it in 14 days. I could see that, because in the middle of March like this, it feels odd, but it's beautiful outside. I'm really glad about that. Finally, we have some sun here in Alabama. I say it's just crazy. I see that today's not St. Patrick's Day. I'm glad I didn't miss it. Today's the Ides of March. St. Patrick's is the 17th. I gotcha. With Catholic green and Protestant orange. I didn't know that. I did not know that. Thank you, Jazzy Bear Brown. That is awesome. I love learning things like that. And it's the same in Romania, changing in 14 days. And in the UK, it's never summer. It's always raining. So I've heard. And it's 9:12 p.m. in Cairo. I saw that Mohammed had asked something, that the theme builder and developing toots. I'd asked before, maybe there are news. I'm not 100% on the theme builder. That's one that's still up in the air, I think, while it's being developed. And all of the development tutorials, we're working on things like that for all of the new features, at least. I know that when we get new features and things like this implemented into Divi, that Jason and Donyetta they go crazy with ideas and just start like throwing them at our Kanban board. So I think as we're moving forward, we get a lot more releases. We're going to see a lot more of the tutorials that way as well. So yeah, the new transform controls are great. Check that out. Now, the last thing I had in news is I wanted to give a shout out to our new team member. I wanted to say hello and thank you and welcome to Raquel Landefeld. Landefeld, maybe? I think it's Landefeld. See, I can't even pronounce anybody's name. Raquel is a WordCamp organizer. You've probably gone to a WordCamp in the United States where she has helped. She is all over the place in the WordPress scene, and she's now our event coordinator here at Elegant Themes on the content team. So we are so excited to have her on the team. When I went to WordCamp Nashville in 2017, she was part of the planning team. They did such a good job that I cannot wait to see the stuff that she's coming up with for Elegant Themes in the Divi Nation. I am really excited about having her on. The link to her website is in the tutorial, or in the news section of this rather, and you can see some of the stuff she's worked on and the stuff that you can look forward to with her on the team. So that's fantastic, and welcome, Raquel. So yeah, that was the news. Like I said, I'm going to toot our own horns this week, but because we have our anniversary, we've made it 11 years since Nick started this thing up and got themes out there, and now with Divi, with that, it's just nuts. So we were all able to do this thanks to you guys. So thank you for making the 11 years awesome. And the transform controls are out, which I love, and Raquel is on the team. So good news this week. It was good news. So if you're just joining us, we tend to go through the news, tutorials, and resources in that order. If you're tuning in, you can actually hear all of the conversation and follow along in with the video once it finishes up. It'll be archived on YouTube and Facebook. And remember that all of the links that we're talking about are going to be in the description of this video, so you can expand it and follow along that way. I see Zakia is checking in late, but it's better than never. That is very true. So just in time for the tutorials. Jason had a really good one this week that one I saw was just super cool that I'm going to try to implement sometime. The how to create knockout text images as stunning headers in Divi. It's really, really neat where you have the cutout, the letters that have the image splayed behind them out, that's cut out and knocked out. It's just really cool. He did a great job doing that with a parallax behind a transparent logo font text logo mark. Man, I cannot think of the of the words today, but it's really, really awesome. And he shows you how to do that with Photoshop and walks you through that. So these kind of tutorials I love because I'm decent with Photoshop. I mess around. I can make it do what I want to do most of the time. And then when somebody like Jason, who knows a lot more than I do, goes through and actually walks step by step what we need to do to achieve these goals, I follow along and then go do it on Creative Cloud. So it makes me super happy to learn stuff. Like I said, I'm crazy about learning. And then we also have a blog on choosing whether or not you need to use pings, JPEGs, or GIFs. I'm sure everyone out there is cringing a little bit based on the way that I said one of those because everybody says them a little bit differently from what I've noticed. So you're talking about lossless and lossy compression, stuff like that. Just what your website needs, where you can really go in and make the best decision, because as site speed becomes more and more important, deciding whether or not you need a lossy image format might be better than the extra couple of seconds it takes to load the lossless ones. So It is GIF with a hard G. That's right, Uncle Social. Because GIF is a soft G. It is GIF. I think we disagreed about that before. I'm not sure. I think I'm remembering right. But yeah, that's a really good one to just think about. I have to think about that. I see Zakia says it's GIF. It's LL, no, GIF. It's they actually said the creator actually said that it was pronounced GIF, like that's what he had pronounced it as himself when he did it. But there are the people like me who say that it stands for graphical interlace format. Is that what it is? But it starts with graphic, and it's like, that's a hard G, so I'm going to say GIF, and it's a lot easier for me to say, and I don't get it confused with peanut butter. Uncle Social asks if the HEIC image format by the MPEG group will ever catch on. I don't know that. I don't know that particular format. I don't keep up with that kind of stuff, but I would love to learn about it. Tell us about it. And yeah, Dave, he was wrong. I agree. Just because you created something, it runs with. When I did all of my English stuff, when I was doing scholarship and stuff like that, I was a reader response theorist. That's one of the things I liked, that the reader was able to interpret and do whatever they wanted with the text on their own, and whatever it said that they got from it was what was in it. And so that's the way I feel about GIF versus GIF. It's whatever we want it to be, because GIFs are for all of us. Interchange format. Thank you, Ryland. Graphics interchange format. My brain, y'all. It's something. but yeah, that's it. See, and so because it's graphics, it's G. But yeah, that's something that's definitely worth thinking about. Both GIF versus GIF, and whether or not you need PNG or PNGs or JPEGs on your site. Or if you just need GIFs, if you need everything GIFed out at this point. And then we also have a blog that I think that you guys will probably like on turning customer complaints into positive responses, so that you can really turn around for people giving you different kinds of feedback that may not be necessarily the most constructive, and be able to move it forward and provide something positive out of that, while not necessarily while they're criticizing you, you make something positive out of it without necessarily disregarding them or being offended by it, or the tone that people say it with. It's really good to do that. Like, the main thing here is saying don't be too casual or be too professional, because it's a hard balance to strike when someone is complaining to you about something, to be way too casual. Like, yeah, it's fine, we'll fix that. Yeah, whatever, it's no big deal. Because you know what? It's a big deal to them. And or be too personal, like, yes, we will fix that. That will be fixed in 37 hours or less. They're like, okay, all right, I'm sure glad. Or we'll forward that along. Thank you very much. It's like that didn't. Seems like it was disregarded, where there's a way of doing it well, and there's a way to talk about bring up those kind of problems as well. And yeah, it says apologize, and that apologies are not, I'm sorry you're upset, I'm sorry you're having this problem, and I apologize for the inconvenience. Those are platitudes and passive-aggressive and infuriating, as they say. It's like the writer says, all I can think is, yeah, thanks, you caused this problem, I don't want to hear it. Because yeah, that happened, that's true. It was when my dad passed away, I realized that I was really upset because somebody came up and was like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, yeah, well, me too. And I was like, that's the wrong way to approach that. And so it was, I left, because there is a way to respond that doesn't necessarily have to be, I'm sorry this happened, that kind of thing. I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness, it is pollen season here in Alabama. I went the wrong direction to get off of camera, and that was live TV. Am I right? I see that Anna in YouTube asks, how do I remove malware from my website? This is a big question. This one is a very big question, actually. The first thing that I would suggest is making sure that you have something like Wordfence, that you have something security, iThemes security, to make sure that you have that. Then make sure that you have a backup from before the you think the malware came in. Uncle Social says on here right now, can your host restore a backup from before the site was infected? That is quick and easy. You need to make sure that it actually came from you. You should contact your host, whoever that is, and get them to scan whatever shared server you're on to make sure that it is either contained to you or that you didn't start it, that whatever it was, it may have come from one of the other sites being used on that shared cluster with you. So you're going to want to contact them and find that out. I'm looking to see if I can find the article that I had about removing malware, but I'm having a hard time finding it in my notes. It may have been in my old notes. Securi has an article that I've used before in the past. This I'm going to post it in the links on YouTube and on Facebook here to talk about it. It may have gone through. Yeah, there we go. On how to clean a hacked WordPress site, and how you can protect your pages. The absolute best way to protect your pages is always have a WAF on, a web application firewall, like Wordfence or Securi or Cloudflare or something like that, to basically prevent as many things as you can. It depends on what exactly you're trying to protect from, because there are ways, if this happened because of an access, like a brute force access, they were able to break in and crack a password, then you're going to want to do something that limits login attempts. If it's something where they were able to get in and maybe inject something through a security vulnerability, you're going to want to make sure that your plugins are always up to date, and that you don't wait to make sure that things get patched as quickly as new issues come out. Ryland asked how often one should take backup of the website. I'm a fan of weekly backups, depending on the site. If it's a majorly, all of our sites are important. That's not what I mean. But if it's something that's life or death, everybody, like thousands and thousands of people's livelihoods are on the line, it may be daily backups that you would want to look at. It depends on what's going on in terms of that. Uncle Social on YouTube says, how often does your content change? If it's static or something like forums, it'll depend on that. Excuse me, for a blog or a podcast, stuff like that, and small business type content, I usually suggest about every week, because you're going to get a dozen updates or so just throughout different things, uploading images, drafts, making new pages, anything like that. But getting hacked is the worst. Anna, what has happened with yours since you found out that there was malware on it? What was it doing specifically? Do you know? Because one of the sites that I picked up in the past as a client was they were hacked, and hacked. They were compromised. I shouldn't use the word hacked. They were compromised, and they had they had someone gain access to the back end of their server, not necessarily their WordPress website, and they had set up a separate. They had locked out the HT access file except for a certain range of IPs, and then installed some HTML and PHP pages that loaded an e-commerce site being hosted in Indonesia, or that directed back to a host in Indonesia, and that's where the range of IPs were. And so it was them coming in through the database. And so we had to do a full flush. We had to reset everything with old backups. It was just absolutely, it was a pain, but you can track down which files are supposed to be there. If you use any kind of version control, which a lot of people don't with WordPress, you can see which files were added when, and be able to look at the diffs and see if the malware was put in, and pull a different one down. It'll all depend. If it is some sort of security vulnerability like that, and they got in with a PHP injection or something like that, I would also look at the plugins that you've got and make sure that every single one of them is necessary. The more plugins that you use, inherently the less secure your website is. And that's not saying that it's insecure for using plugins at all, but you have more opportunities for code to be overwritten or adjusted, and security vulnerabilities not addressed is all. That's it. I'm not saying don't use plugins. That's not it at all. But it's just more opportunity for something to happen. So I would go through and look at any plugins that haven't been updated in the last 6 months and try to find a replacement that has been. If it's over that, if it's 8 to 12 months or more since something's been updated, either get a brand new plugin written for custom, find someone who can do that by adjusting the PHP in a child theme, or you can find a replacement on the WordPress repo or on Code Canyon or somewhere like that. But one of the biggest security issues is not updating your themes and plugins. Hopefully you have a secure Divi installation. Like I said earlier, we discovered a security vulnerability in Divi and released a patch for it, so you should be able to update for that, everybody, if you are no longer a member at all. You'll be able to do that, so check that out. Make sure you do that. That's really important. I believe that came out just before the transform controls, so if you've got transform controls already, you are patched up and good. If you haven't gotten those yet, it was, I think, the patch right before it, but I think it was 0.20, maybe. It was either 0.19 or 0.20, and transform controls, I think, were 0.21. So check that out. Make sure that you've updated to that. But that's what I would suggest on those. Plugins are probably the biggest culprit for it. Make sure that you don't install any that you don't expressly know who made them. If you don't have a trusted developer behind them, if you know somebody like WordPress or Caldera Forms or anything like that, their plugins are never, shouldn't say never, but never say never, but are 99% unlikely to ever have that kind of flaw or problem when you download it and install malware like that. But if you download something off of an illegal site, I shouldn't even say illegal, an illegitimate site, and download, say, a premium plugin from somewhere that has a copy that you can install for free, there's a really good chance that there's malware on that. So you can prevent that kind of thing pretty easily by not doing that. Anna says, yesterday I was building the site with Divi and I don't know what time someone commented, or I don't know that I have malicious scripts, and I don't know how to remove it. I'm new to the subject and a graphic designer. Yeah, that doesn't necessarily go in with the PHP and getting into the back end always line up there. Let's see, I was building the site with Divi, don't know at what time someone commented, but you have malicious scripts and don't know how to remove it. Then yeah, the first thing I would do, change all your passwords. Absolutely, right now. Go in, get a tell your whoever is in charge of the site, whether that's you or someone else, to get a plugin that forces WordPress password resets, and then it will give a generic one and make everyone it'll change the password and make everyone reset it as soon as they log in again. That way it will prevent access from anyone who does have access. Then contact the host, make sure that they can figure out what's up and see if there's a backup that way. If you have a backup, you can use Updraft or something like that to restore it. That would be awesome. And but if you're, first of all, before anything, lock those people out as best you can. FTP passwords, everything changed if you have any kind of malware. It is a total pain. I understand. I have done this before. Changing everything associated with that hosting plan is a nightmare. But it's the best way to be secure. Make sure that you have something running through. There is a new WordPress plugin, I think that's called WordPress Health Check, that should be able to be installed and give you a rundown of top level stuff that's up and help you clean it. It is very good to do that, but more than anything, lock people out and contact your host. And if you're, depending on who your host is, if they're, I know SiteGround has taken care of stuff like that before. That was actually why that client I had before we moved them to SiteGround because they were helping make sure that there was no malware through the transfer, and it was great. If they, but yeah, I see Ben actually has says hire a pro. If you're not comfortable with it and it is a malicious script, that might be the best thing, is hiring someone who is versed in that kind of service. They would already have the process streamlined and laid out, but it's that's in a very long rambling way on top of with the comments. It's very that's the rambling way I would at least go about taking care of it, and make sure before anything else that you have Wordfence or iTheme security or something installed on there to alert you of anything going on. I know that the emails I get from Wordfence tell me when something is outdated, when I need to update a plugin, and what IP addresses and IP ranges login attempts were made. So those kind of things can just let you know if you're getting more than usual that you're under attack and to take extra precautions. But yeah, the host is probably your first line of defense. Just let them know and tell them what you told us. You're like, I'm a graphic designer. I'm not necessarily well versed in this. I'm new to this. I need help. And generally they let you do that. Ben says check your Google Webmaster Tools, the new Google Search Console as well. Check the submitted sitemap. The malware will change your sitemap. That is not a bad idea, Ben. I say that because I was like, I've never thought of that. I am so going to start doing that because, yes, it would change. They will change your sitemap. Always thinking you, but that's a great idea. And yeah, so hopefully that helped a little bit. Hopefully you can go back through the comments as well. People were mentioning things that you could do. Hopefully some of that helped help you get this cleared up, because that is not something that I envy you having to deal with, and I wouldn't wish on anybody, because it's gross. I'm so sorry. But yeah, that is. Let's see. I need to go back up. I was at the bottom of my list finding links. So there are a couple other tutorials getting back to that I wanted to just point out to you, not necessarily go through. CSS Tricks has some code to make it so that if you do a lot of screencasts, if you do webinars and screencasts and tutorials for other people, that you can avoid that kind of jerkiness on scroll down with CSS transformations as opposed to smooth scrolling, and it will be a lot quicker and easier to do. So they have some code to do that. And Divi Space has an article on how to control user permissions for the Divi theme. You guys have mentioned this in the past where you didn't want people to have access to installing new layouts. You didn't necessarily want people to have access to change this kind of post or this kind of page or this kind of custom post type. And Divi Space under the tutorials has told you how to do that. They break it down and show you what you can do and what people can have access to. In addition to that, they break it down on what you can do in the PHP to go in and change different roles and different permissions like that. I had to do that the other day on my podcast site because it was like I didn't realize how limited the contributor role was, and so I had to go in and change stuff. But that one is absolutely worth your time because I know that there's some of you watching who have wondered how to stop that and didn't know how, and there is a very good walkthrough and showing you how to do that. And then WP Shout, I love this one because this was something that I think all of us are going to need to go through at some point, especially if we've had WordPress for a while. If you have WordPress for a while, you have probably used the default URL structure where you have dates in it, dates and years, month, date, year, things like that. And that's not necessarily great anymore. In 2008, it was honestly suggested when I started, a lot of people suggested it, that it would let you show your readers that your content was up to date. It's like, yeah, this was published in 2008, not 2002, so it's great. Nowadays, though, we have to update content more often. Updating content is a regular part of brand strategy now, where you're going to have to go through every 6 months and change various articles around because either the content changes or or Google has changed something that you need to fix. So this one is about removing the date from a WordPress post URL, and we've all had to go through and do this, and it shows you how to go in and change it through the htaccess file, which will let you you first change the permalink slug, and then you go into the htaccess and change it where it's being directed to, and it'll take the others and redirect it. It's a lot better to do if you're changing an entire URL structure to do it this way than using a plugin. Editing the htaccess, the .htaccess file, is scary to some people because it is what controls the traffic direction. But if you do it this way, you're going to have no problems. I've edited so many htaccess files, and after the first time, it's like, oh, I did that. So as long as you do it once, you'll be fine. But check that out if you have to change away from as the way they say it in the article. If you have articles that show that they're from back in 2016 and you're talking about something, even if you've updated it for 2019, people are probably going to judge it, and they're going to judge it harshly. I am one of those people. I am. Whether or not the URL says it's been the best so-and-so for 2019, if that URL has 2014 in it, I'm like, how much did you really update this? And so if I don't trust that site, that URL is going to be a big warning flag for me not to trust it. And you don't want that. So there is another WP Shout article that's learning PHP for WordPress. And again, a lot of people are in that boat of knowing enough PHP to be dangerous, but not really understanding what things do. And that's what this is. It's talking about return in PHP. That's all this particular article is about. They're talking about PHP usually echoes to the page eventually. It does a lot more too. And it's talking about what functions can do and how you can return things and actually work logic through PHP as opposed to just displaying something like a lot of WordPress theme templates might. So it's really cool to learn how to do stuff like that. And this one actually tells you how to do it well. So check that one out for sure. WP Shout does good stuff. And Uncle Social says that Judge BJ is harder than Judge Judy. I don't know about that, but I did get mad at a student who was harassing some of my tutors. I brought them into my office, and apparently my door was made out of paper, apparently. And I gave them a very stern talking to, which is something that you look at my face, you hear my tone of voice, you don't really think happens, that I'm not really the kind who gets really serious, and I'm not very often. And I when he left one of my work studies, I walked out the door, she was just like, please never talk to me like that. Please never get mad at me. And it was just because I was flat. I was angry. I was being very just straightforward and calm, and it terrified them because of this. So maybe it is harsher than Judge Judy, because whenever I do get judgy like that, it's not very animated like Judge Judy is. So a really cool one that Flywheel put out is how to take professional photos for your design portfolio. And Flywheel's a design company more than anything. I mean, they're a hosting company more than anything, but they're a hosting company for designers. So they have put this together on how you can take actual portfolio shots to show that you're really good at what you do. And one of the things that they do on their layout blog all the time is walk through the behind the scenes of how they're setting up their shoots for their stuff. And that's something they're doing in this, where they're laying stuff out, showing you how you want the setup to be, the seamless backgrounds, how you work with colors, and just making sure that you have the context for everything right. It's great that as someone who is not a photographer and really does not understand true photography, it is like the visual, I just don't see it like a lot of people do. It's very very interesting to read this, and very useful for people who aren't in that mindset to take truly professional photos and be able to. So that's a good one. I see Shanor asks about the update on the header builder, and there's not. That's one I don't know anything about. I know Nick was talking about it in the update last week about the different timeline for things, and it's coming. We're working on it, and we just have to make sure that the code base is solid enough to support everyone who's on Divi, including the legacy code and legacy sites. So it's going to be out there. Don't get me wrong. We are working on it, and it is a real thing. It is not vaporware, I promise you. But it is not. I have no clue when it's coming out. I'm looking forward to it as well, because it was this morning before work. I was working on a header to a site, and the menu and everything. I was just frustrated, and it was Divi. And I was frustrated like you were on that one. I was like, I want this header builder, and I was like, man, I pushed it back a week. Oh, man, but it's coming. Don't worry. That is something that is absolutely in the soon-ish pipeline. The last thing in the tutorials that I want to touch on is TorqueMag did an SEO article on keyword clustering. And this is finding more than one key phrase per page, not key phrase per phase. it's where you can have one site, one particular page rank for different things. And so their main thing that they say actually is creating content for readers, not search spiders, which is a very good piece of advice, but you also need to consider how you are putting the content together for the readers. Manually creating keyword groupings. Use a keyword clustering tool. They actually have one WordStream keyword grouper that they have to show you what kinds of searches are put together that way. You get 30 free searches and once per day. And then once per day, once you have used up that quota. Excuse me, I could not read the sentence. And the description's great. It's like you look up, say, vegan protein, and you can look up like vegan protein with pea, vegan protein with hemp, vegan keto, all of this stuff. Like it shows you the clusters of groups that you can really target with your keyword. And you're going to need to do this. This is the kind of thing that if we're wanting to stay relevant and actually rank in the top, we need to start making sure that we look at more than just a single short tail or long tail keyword. And even Yoast is doing this now. Yoast is telling us for synonyms and other kinds of key phrases that we can track from their plugin in the meta box. We are in the days where we are having to very specifically consider what we're targeting and who we're targeting, and TorqueMag walks through that really, really well. I see Reed says the transformation effects are amazing, and I agree. That is absolutely true. Those are so great. And yeah, it's amazing on tweaks. Like I think that's where you've really hit it on the head. It's a feature where you can do epic, like just page wide, just sweeping changes, but you can also make something just right. It will you can not fiddle with any having something at 0.002 em anymore. You can actually just put it where you want it. It's great. And I see that the nice though the header builder will be, I'd prefer you to take your time and get it right. And that really is our driving force on this one. And all of our updates, really, we want it to be usable and good before we get it to you. We don't want to break your site and your livelihood. It's not like we're Bethesda and can patch up Fallout 76. It's not like we're EA and can patch up Anthem. We are your livelihood probably doesn't rest on Anthem. It probably does on Divi. So we're making very sure that we don't destroy that with a half-baked feature. So that is why it is. Still wishing settings for the gallery module would use the WordPress functions for getting thumbnail URL. Yeah, I'm sorry. That sucks. I hate that for you video. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say. That was one where I don't, man. And then Shanur says, now use Ocean WP free version in the Divi Builder because in the theme options, the free version of Ocean WP is better than the Divi theme. I can see that. That is actually one of the things that the Divi Builder is great for, especially right now until we get the theme builder. The Divi Builder plugin gets all of the same updates, so you can take the transform effects that were put out this week and use it on Astra or Ocean WP with a feature that you like and get the best of both worlds. That is why we have it as a separate plugin, so that you can use it with anything that you want to. I've done it with Astra a bunch. When you get into stuff like that, it's very, very wonderful to be able to do when you just hit one of those limitations that you need something else, but still really want Divi, really need and love Divi, it is perfect for that. I'm glad that you've been able to do that and take the plugin. I always try to mention that to people whenever we're on here and someone brings that up, to not be shy about the Divi Builder plugin, because it's great. And remember that you don't have to have it and Divi installed at the same time. You can have just Divi, just Extra, and the Builder is built into those themes. You don't have to have the separate plugin installed. Deactivating it will not do anything and break your site if you do that, if you're running Divi or Extra. So make sure that you, if you're doing that, you're just taking up a few extra resources. It took me 6 to 8 months to realize that after I worked here, that it was impossible. It was like, I was just watching one of Jason's streams one day and he said it. I'm like, what? So now you know, if y'all didn't know that. It's awesome. So we are running low on time, as I always am. So I'll very briefly break through some of the resources. But before I do that, I see a couple of Facebook comments some comments on Facebook that I'd missed. I'm sorry about that. Hi, Allie in Michigan, and Vinay, sorry if I mispronounced that. Any icon integrations coming? The available icons inside Divi are very, very limited. One thing that you can do is that we published recently an article on integrating Font Awesome with Divi. That is one of the better ways to do it. And I discovered a new service the other day. I think it's called IcoMoon. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it, but it's really neat. It's like a Font Awesome. It's ICOMOON, and it's very useful. I'll paste it into the comments here. But it's one where it's very easy to integrate Font Awesome and things like that in there if the built-in Divi fonts don't work very well for you. Does Divi recommend a favorite font they love? I love the Builder. I had no idea about the extra plugin thing, Allie. That's great. That's what we're here for. That is specifically why we're here, is to help you out with things like that. Thank you for loving the Builder. A favorite font? Oh, man. As far as ET having a favorite font, I don't think so. I think we pretty much go through a lot of them. We've integrated a lot of the Google Fonts library into a Divi, if not the entire thing. These days, I'm very fond of Josephine Sans and Quicksand from Google Fonts. I'm also a big fan of Ubuntu because I am a nerd and I love that font, and I tend to use Roboto a lot as well. I do avoid PT and Open Sans because everybody uses those, but I've really been a big fan of Quicksand and Josephine Sans lately. In terms of the company, though, not really. We use all sorts of them. Like the one on the logo for here, I think it's for the, that you'll see on the, here on the banner is, that's Poppins, and I think it looks pretty cool. It's a little more rounded and big, and, but not like Comic Sans rounded. So, it's neat. Roboto is a good one. It gets used a little more than I would prefer these days, but at the same time, it looks just unique enough that unless you're in the design circles, you're probably not going to recognize it, and it's just going to look unique to you. So I think that one will. Be very good to use around, but those are the ones I like. I see Uncle Social says Helvetica is the only right answer for the favorite font. I don't use Helvetica. Helvetica is great, and a lot of times I don't use Helvetica mainly because sometimes a lot of the times when I'm working, I'm on my PC and I don't have Helvetica on it. But don't kill me. Scott asks on YouTube, great info, Divi for a while, been sick. I'm getting ready to get started after using a handful of editors and themes over the years, and I wonder if there's a place to learn Divi starting at the basics. I want to duplicate a site. Thought I saw a Divi tutorial where someone showed how to use Divi to duplicate a theme. I would search our archives first of all. Because there are over 2,000 articles we've published on the blog. And so in that time, there's been a tutorial about a whole lot of stuff, especially beginning Divi. We made sure that last year we went through and redid almost every video in our documentation where either Nathan or Jason explains the process of whatever that feature is, and you can access that from inside the builder. So wherever you are, you can hit the question mark button and it will open up in the builder and you can watch that video. That would be one way to learn like that. That's why we did it, to make it easy to access that. I don't know quite how to saw a Divi tutorial, someone showed how to duplicate a theme. If you're going to duplicate a site, a particular site, and it's on Divi, you can go through and save all of the individual pages as layouts and export those JSON files and import those into your new site. You can do that with with an import-export in the Divi library. In terms of having a tutorial for that, I'm not sure if that was on our site. It could be on Divi Cake, Divi Life, or Divi Space. Those three tend to have those kinds of tutorials as well. But those are the three that come to mind that if it wasn't on our blog, that it may have been on that. But if it's I shouldn't say simple matter, but if it is just that you want the primary content there being the design and pages, you can do that in Divi with the Divi library. If you need it to be the content as well, you can duplicate it by going into all of the pages and all of that and doing the save to Divi library. Then there is an import-export tool that WordPress has that you can export all of the post content and import it into a new site, and it will be able to either retain or change author information and things like that. In terms of plugins, I would just reinstall all of the plugins. I've had too many issues with just trying to move plugin folders to plugin folders. But in terms of tutorials, those are the four places that I would look at: Elegant Themes blog, Divi Space, Divi Cake, Divi Life. So yeah. Well, it's 3:00, everybody. It is certainly a different time wherever you are, but it's 3:00 for me, and that means I have to say goodbye to you or I will turn into a pumpkin. And that means that next Friday I will come out of my pumpkin shell and see you and do this again. That is a Cinderella reference for anyone who doesn't get it. But thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for the wonderful conversation. Thank you guys for all the questions. And I really, really hope that you check out the rest of the resources in here. I hope that you find something useful. The top 100 WordPress influencers to follow in 2019 is the last one I was going to go over, so check it out. It's number 2 under the resources, and there are a lot of really good creators and developers under that umbrella that you need to either get to know, befriend, or follow along and bask in their creativity. So everybody, this has been an absolute pleasure. Our next live stream is at 6 a.m. Eastern time. on Monday. That is Eastern Daylight Time right now, so remember that. And then we will have a 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time use case next week on Tuesday afternoon at the same time this is on Fridays. And then on Friday, you'll have me again doing the weekly WP Roundup. So if you need anything, you'll know where I am, and I will see you guys next Friday. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic weekend and week, everybody. Bye.